Ladies and gentlemen, we have this is a very interesting segment, and I want to first thank numerous people. Primarily, I just want to thank some really, really wonderful people who, first, Nick Walsh. Thank you, Nick, for taking the time, and this is, I believe, even before the segment was completely up on Rush Limbaugh, he went ahead and recorded the segment. So Nick Walsh, thank you very, very much, and sent me an email. And I want to thank also Kurt Leonard. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for tweeting it out. And there were a number of people also who sent me emails to Rush Limbaugh's site. So Rush Limbaugh shared my latest article in the Federalist. You're going to hear him talk about it right now, and I want to thank both Kurt and Nick. Thank you so very much, and other wonderful individuals who sent me emails as well. Thank you. This is really, really interesting. Rush Limbaugh shared and spoke about my article today. It's in the Federalist. It is below. And the reason I wrote the article was to highlight the fact that there are so many direct links to Clinton. It is beyond conflict of interest. It's absurd to even allude to there being some kind of objectivity here. President Trump was framed, obviously. Now, I try to be more eloquent and I try to be more diplomatic and nuanced in the article. The title of the article that Rush Limbaugh today spoke about on his show is John Durham Needs to Investigate Why the Info Generating the Mueller Probe is All Linked to Hillary Clinton. Eventually, he's going to ask Clinton, very likely either ask Clinton questions or people associated with Hillary Clinton. For example, the law firm that funneled money in order to outsource CrowdStrike, but also mainly the Steele Dossier that was utilized to obtain a FISA warrant. John Durham might reach out to Alexander Downer, which would be nice. Somebody has to ask this guy, this Australian diplomat, why his account of a conversation with Papadopoulos was so important to James Comey that they started the whole counterintelligence probe with Strzok and pay Strzok, we will stop Trump, all these things. But the Democratic Party outsourced CrowdStrike. Hillary Clinton paid for the Steele Dossier. Alexander Dumbo Downer is directly tied to the Clinton Foundation. But here's Rush Limbaugh. And ladies and gentlemen, it's really, really cool. It's always great to have your writing acknowledged. And here's Rush Limbaugh speaking about my article.
Of just what really happened here, that there was not one attempt by anyone in the legacy, the mainstream media, that attempted to get any of this right. More and more people are referencing this in their tweets and stories, and I am happy to see it. Now, I ran across a piece that was sent to me by a good friend over the weekend from the Federalist, and it's written by H.A. Goodman. That's a long piece. We'll link to it at rushlimbaugh.com, but the headline is this: John Durham, which is Barr's investigator, who is Barr's investigator, John Durham needs to investigate why the information generating the Mueller probe is all linked to Hillary Clinton.
Now, he says it a lot better than me. Let me say this. I was on the far left. The Huffington Post called me the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet. The Washington Post called me the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters. There are people who say, oh, you were never on the left. Those people are just disgruntled and can't fathom how anyone on the left could become a Trump supporter. I'm a Trump supporter. I'm not necessarily conservative about most issues, but I'm finding myself becoming a lot more conservative on a whole bunch of issues. Now, of course, the Second Amendment I'm very conservative on. extremely conservative on. And that is something that's one of the revelations that I've made during my time in politics. But I have a Second Amendment channel. It's HA2A. You know that it's in the pinned comment, and I've spoken about that before. But my article in The Federalist explains why Bernie Sanders supporters should vote Trump 2020. I explain in that article how you go from a Bernie Sanders supporter to a Trump supporter. As a Trump supporter right now, having been on the left, having seen how dysfunctional, utterly dysfunctional, how utterly devoid, bereft of any moral basis for their claims of condemnation. They just live to condemn and to judge. If it's Kavanaugh, oh my God. If it's Justin Fairfax, his accuser literally stated an allegation I couldn't feel my neck. No talk about that. Most people on the left don't even know who Justin Fairfax, the Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, Democrat. Keith Ellison, his accuser has medical records. So they care more about a hot mic from Trump, and they hide behind social issues that are linked to tremendous outrage. But they only show outrage when it's Trump. If they never play the clip, Hillary Clinton, and this is unbelievable because in the UK now, Labour and people on the left, they're up in arms that Trump is visiting. Yeah, so what? Madam Cyberhack, the Golden Muumuu, literally in a disgusting joke called Mahatma Gandhi, what did she call this legendary human being? A gas station attendant. That's what Clinton said. Madam Cyberhack, the failed 2016 candidate who was going to run again. Yes, she is. I explained that every video. Called black youth super predators. Another disgusting comment. Spread a photo of Obama in African attire during the 2008 election that David Plouffe, President Obama's campaign manager, called the most offensive and shameful fear-mongering of either side in the election. Then she brought up RFK while running against President Obama, saying, well, I got to stay in the race because RFK. And people were like, oh my God, why did you? We can go on forever. 94 crime bill, First Step Act with Trump. I would debate anyone. In both rhetoric and deed and action, Trump is infinitely better on the issue of race, on a whole bunch of issues. How did Clinton treat all the women? And I say all, there's a Wikipedia page. All the women who accused Bubba Bill Clinton, what's up? I can't believe everybody, the good Lord up top looked down and said, I just don't like your face. I just don't like you for some reason. That's what he said during the Monica Lewinsky scandal. What? He turned it into a joke. How did Hillary treat Monica? Or any of them, Paula Jones, or any of them? Didn't believe the accusers. We can go on forever. From helping destroy Libya with President Obama, Clinton has zero right to talk. Especially, anyway, I'm giving just one aspect of how I became a Trump supporter and why I really enjoy listening to Rush Limbaugh now. Whereas before on the left, I actually didn't really mind listening to now, but now I enjoy listening to Rush Limbaugh because more often than not, I agree with him as a Trump supporter on major issues. And I explain how that takes place. If you can't understand, or if you think that it's impossible, it says more about your ability to think and to come to terms with the fact that people do go from the left and become Trump supporters all the time, especially because the left has been so unhinged on every issue. But let's continue with this. This is really a big, wonderful honor and Been very happy.
At a certain point, it cannot be mere coincidence that every major figure involved in probing Trump's campaign is linked to Hillary Clinton in some manner. Now, his point was Obama, but I think Obama and Hillary are inseparable here. The FBI had a budget approaching $10 billion during Comey's tenure as its director. Combined with the budgets for the CIA and the NSA, these agencies cost taxpayers around $30 billion annually. Now, that may seem cheap. It may seem less than you would think. The CIA, Black Ops budget alone, nobody knows what it is. The CIA owns airlines. The CIA owns all kinds of things. $10 billion budget for the CIA. But anyway, we'll go with the number. $30 billion combined FBI, CIA, NSA. Therefore, one would think that incriminating evidence derived from the FBI, NSA, or CIA could have linked Trump to Russian hackers or Kremlin operatives if that evidence existed. For $30 billion, you could find it.
And that is one of the big points that I tried to make in the article. And I'm glad Rush Limbaugh, saw that and pointed that out and emphasized that. It's very important. And if you watch this channel, you know that I've always been saying this. They have a $30 billion plus budget combined. It's over that, actually. Yet they had to rely on Alexander Downer. And when James Comey and James Baker, when they say, gosh, it was so chaotic, we were under an attack, they were going after us, is this, what? We don't even know if Russia infiltrated the DNC. We have no clue. We had to rely on CrowdStrike. The U.S. government never touched DNC servers. DNC outsourced a company and told the U.S. government, oh, yeah, well, you know what? Those are the servers. These are the copies of the servers. Images. Pristine images. Just trust us. Well, of course you should trust us. We paid them. The Democratic Party paid them. Well, then if the RNC paid Trump Strike, you think media wouldn't find that a conflict of interest? Of course it would, but let's continue. So we don't and I link in the article the warranty disclaimers of DHS and ODNI reports, which state, don't believe anything we really say. Don't use it as fact. It's just our assessment.
$30 billion and the best and the brightest with that money, you could find it. Instead, almost all the major findings used to justify investigations into Trump's campaign are linked to Hillary.
It's my voice politically in a nutshell. It's so obvious. She's running also. That's like people shouldn't be, when she finally runs, they shouldn't be surprised. If you watch this channel, can't be surprised. Because I've been saying this forever. But she literally purchased her own Russian hacking investigation, which we have no clue if the Russians even hacked the DNC. They indicted Russian intelligence officers based on the work of Company One. Read the indictment. It says Company One. That's CrowdStrike, not the U.S. The U.S. government's indicting foreign nationals based on the work or the evidence of a third-party tech firm that it has no way of verifying.
Not the CIA's work, not the NSA's work, not the FBI's work. Pretty much every major finding led by the dossier, pretty much every leak that the New York Times and CNN and Washington Post ran came from somebody associated with Hillary Clinton.
By the way, this is Rush Limbaugh Podcast, Monday, June 3rd, 2019. There were a great many people who sent me a link to the Rush Limbaugh site. I appreciate that. I'm not sure if the June 3rd link was up when they sent it, but this is the actual link, and it starts essentially at It starts at 10:55. 1 hour and 55 minutes into this. So that's where it starts. So, all right, let's continue. I'll put the link below.
The heads of America's top intelligence agencies used a dossier linked to Clinton funding a tech firm outsourced by the DNC. This would be Fusion GPS and CrowdStrike. They used hearsay from Alexander Downer, the Australian ambassador, who is a donor to the Clinton Foundation and an associate of same. The evidence leading up to the Mueller probe was so specious that the Department of Homeland Security and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, reports that were compiled by Clapper and others, had warranty disclaimers. President Trump was investigated based on intelligence linked to statements like, quote, Department of Homeland Security does not provide any warranties of any kind regarding any information contained within, and, quote, judgments are not intended to imply that we have proof that shows something to be a fact. That's why every story on this, in paragraph 13, referenced the fact that none of this had yet been proven. But all of the evidence that came from...
And I love that Rush Limbaugh read the fact that the warranty disclaimers show... just actually state categorically, hey, don't trust. Don't trust what we say. This is so overt. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to point any of this out. It's so overt. We know all of this. And I'm just so glad that Rush Limbaugh is reading it. Millions upon millions of people have heard this. The article is on its way to going viral, and I'm very happy. So I appreciate that. Rush Limbaugh, thank you so very much.
Intelligence agencies did come with disclaimers that I just read you. William Barr has hired prosecutor John Durham to investigate the origins of the Mueller investigation. A key issue for Durham to resolve is why the inciting information never originated within the U.S. government. Why has the funding from Democrats, along with other blatant conflicts of interest, been ignored by Comey, Clapper, and Brennan? Although an estimated 70% of intelligence budgets go to private contractors, these private companies work with classified material and their workers hold security clearances.
You know, it's good to be on the right side of history. This is actually, it's almost surreal watching him read my writing. And it's just, it feels great because this feels a lot better. And I'm telling you, it feels a lot better than if I was on the left and Rachel Maddow or Chris Hayes or whatever. None of them compared to what Rush Limbaugh has done in their careers. Rush Limbaugh's career has been a pretty iconic career. Definitely in terms of radio, and just in terms of the impact on the Republican Party or conservative thought. I'm not conservative, but I'm a conservative on issues like the Second Amendment. Certainly, I'm a Trump supporter, a Trump voter. I'm voting for Trump in 2020, primarily because a lot of things that he's doing have always resonated with even people on the left. They can't admit it, though. I'm the one person on the left who became a Trump supporter who can easily say, yeah, there's a lot of things that people on the left should be extremely happy about, but they're too petulant and malicious and snarky to ever admit, yeah, know what, he's doing a great job on this, that, prison reform. He's a non-interventionist. All of these issues. The economy's great. Record low unemployment for Black and Latino citizens. And no, it didn't start under Obama. When they say it started under Obama, yeah, record highs hit. Not seen since the Reagan administration. Then it trickled down. Fine, it went down. A record high hit. Even up until 2012. The numbers were still high in 2012. Unemployment among Black and Latino citizens were still high. It was still high up until 2012. The recession ended in '09, the summer of '09. So, but it's so great it feels great to have your writing shared to millions and millions of people by somebody who's doing it because he believes in his heart that this is an injustice, and he's communicating this, and he knows that I believe, and I've laid out the case and cited my sources and everything in the Federalist article, but it's not a propaganda spin. That's the point. Trump is on the right side of history. Trump was wronged. There was criminal activity leveled against a duly elected president. Rush Limbaugh is right. Sean Hannity is right. I am right. You're right. We are on the side. When people look back at this time period, they're going to say, the talking heads on MSNBC and CNN and the writers of the Washington Post and New York Times, all those other people, they're not on the side of justice. They're on the side of injustice because they knew he didn't conspire. Most of them knew. Most of them were smart enough to know. I'm not going to even name the person, but there's a pundit on the left who literally stated, yeah, you know what? I know it's not. I know this is a while back. Yeah, I know that he probably didn't conspire, but so what? It helps the left. That's their vantage point. That's their vantage point. They set up Trump, and they were willing to make people around him suffer just because they hated his personality. They didn't hate him. He had 15 years of The Apprentice. But it feels great to have Rush Limbaugh read my article. And I hope that people on the left talk about it. If they don't, I'll be very upset.
Fusion GPS, the firm Clinton and the Democrats hired to compile the Steele Dossier, did not provide the FBI classified intelligence. In fact, the Steele Dossier is still unverified, and anyone can read it within the BuzzFeed article that publicized it all. CrowdStrike, the third-party tech firm the DNC hired to analyze its servers instead of the FBI, did not provide the FBI, the CIA, or NSA any classified intelligence from their investigation of the server, since the DNC is a private entity that never allowed U.S. intel agencies near its servers. In other words, nothing that came from official work of the CIA or the FBI or the NSA actually ended up in this investigation. It all came from people or firms associated with Hillary Clinton. Comey, for example, never used intelligence derived from U.S. sources.
This is how President Obama gets away with, and the media gets away with, saying Obama didn't spy on Trump. It's like, you know what, they're being coy and they're being snarky, and they know that, no intelligence derived from the U.S. government. That actually proves that he was set up and framed. If there was no intelligence from the United States government, they should not have investigated. They certainly should not have investigated for that long with quote unquote intelligence derived from sources linked to Clinton, his political rival. His political rival went after him with the use of the United States government. That's what is so scary.
To initiate or justify investigations into Trump's campaign. All the information that Comey, Clapper, and Brennan used to justify investigating Trump was data linked to Clinton or Democrats in some manner. During a Fox News interview with Bill Hemmer, William Barr explained that initiating a counterintelligence probe from the Steele Dossier was very unusual. Can you tell us about the Steele Dossier? What role did it play? Barr. Well, that's one of the questions we're going to have to look at. It's a very unusual situation to have opposition research like that, especially one that's on its face had a number of clear mistakes and somewhat jejune analysis, and to use that to conduct counterintelligence against an American political campaign, that'd be a strange development. I'm not sure what role it played, but that's something we're going to have to look at. Hemmer, do you smell a rat in this? Barr. I don't know if I describe it as a rat. I just say the answers I'm getting are not sufficient. Durham will no doubt investigate the intent behind these decisions and the true reasons America's intelligence agencies outsourced virtually all of the evidence against that. That's the key. Clapper, Brand, they were outsourcing everything to the Brits. They were outsourcing everything to Steele, to Fusion GPS. Everybody they outsourced it to was linked to Hillary Clinton.
That is what I've been saying. And I thank Rush Limbaugh for saying this. I've been saying this every day for 2 years. And she's running again. We're going to see when she runs again. We're going to see exactly why all of this took place.
Folks, everything, every aspect of this, none of it came from legitimate FBI or CIA investigations, in other words. Even Strzok, Smirk, and Page were clued into the things they did by tip-offs and guidance from the Clinton campaign or people therein. At a certain point, it can't be mere coincidence that every major figure involved in probing Trump's campaign is linked to Hillary Clinton in some manner.
Which means that eventually he could interview Clinton. He could interview Clinton. Not saying he will. He could. Clinton will eventually get indicted. She will lose the election in 2020. She'll get indicted. On pick a crime, any crime. But people around her will get indicted before her, whether it's before the election or after the election. John Durham is engaged in a criminal probe. And I explained in one of my other Federalist articles, 18 U.S. Code 371. They all conspired to defraud the United States government. This was not an objective or neutral. Let's put it this way. The DNC primary in 2016 was more objective and neutral, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign for cheating Bernie Sanders, which is what allegedly the Russians let us know. But let's continue.
Christopher Steele, desperate to prevent Trump from being president, was paid $160,000 by Democrats before he compiled his dossier. Democrat National Committee lawyers met with FBI officials before a surveillance warrant was granted, raising questions as to why the FBI would meet with a political party's lawyers, yet not inform Trump that his campaign was under investigation. Fusion GPS, the firm that hired Steele, was paid by money from Hillary Clinton and the DNC and funneled through a law firm to compile the Steele dossier, not the FBI, not the CIA, not the NSA.
So I'm going to leave the link below, and I want you to check out Rush Limbaugh's full, I think it's around 10 minutes or so, and it's about 10 minutes and 31 seconds. I want to thank everyone who emailed me the link prior to Rush Limbaugh uploading it. Definitely subscribe to the Rush Limbaugh Show. I am going to reach out to them. Hopefully, would love to be interviewed by Rush Limbaugh, or at least talk about this article on his show. It'd be my absolute pleasure and an honor to do so. But I'll reach out to them. I'll also reach out to Fox News. And I would love to reach CNN, MSNBC. If anyone, I know the producers there because I was on the left. I've emailed them, but gosh, they just don't email back. Wonder why. I've been on CNN. I've been on MSNBC. Of course, I've been on RT a number of times. But would like to be on Fox. Would love to be on Rush Limbaugh's radio show speaking about this article. But I am going to leave this link below. Ladies and gentlemen, read my writing in the Federalist, the Daily Caller, the Jerusalem Post. It is below. By the way, below also is my article in the Times of Israel today, explaining that Hillary Clinton will run and lose again to Trump in 2020. So, but definitely check out that full segment, and it starts at 1 hour and 55 minutes into it. Sorry. 1 hour and 55 seconds into it. 1 hour and 55 seconds into it. So I will go ahead and put that in the pinned comment. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.